has been selling us on the idea that they have deliberately scattered treasure and hidden quests and stuff around the world. That way you have this sense of adventure, right? That way you don't have this very, I don't know, overly linear questing experience. That way you don't feel so restricted on the way that you adventure around the world, that there is incentive to go off the beaten path. I'm not too crazy about the idea of this being in there, but I'm not really pissed either, just because the day and age we live in, the internet is going to rip this game apart. So give it 2-3 days in that early access period even, and this game will have nearly all the quests already completed for you on a wiki somewhere, and all the treasures already found. So I'm not really too worried about this item causing any issues, just because the internet was going to do it anyway. So I mean, if you're worried about this item ruining the experience, trust me, it's not. Now, the other one that comes with the Explorers Pack is the ability to play any race on any alliance. Now, this, as you would expect, is also very controversial for a couple different reasons. The biggest of which I would say anyway is that they have really driven home the idea for the longest time now that the alliance war is kind of priority number one, that we are separate alliances and we are representing our faction, and that's that. We are not going to be able to ally with others. We're not going to be able to be friends with them. And I believe they even joked around that, like, if you really wanted to play with friends on a different faction, you better meet up in Cyrodiil for a tea party and stuff like that. And then they just come out with this, which is not quite the same as being able to play faction to faction questing or anything, which is something that I personally really hoped would make it into the game by release. Hopefully it's something that they can do once the game is stable, and for that reason I'm okay with this. I'm actually very happy with this, for one big reason that kind of I didn't really need to be converted, but I really needed to be convinced, because I don't know, it's something that I felt like maybe they were making the right call if they committed fully to it, but I've always felt that it would have been better if they left open borders, even so that maybe there was this restrictiveness that was natural because they are at war, but you could go to other people's areas, and that's just not a thing in the game. So I'm okay with this as a compromise. But the cinematic that came with this sort of announcement of pre-order stuff, if you haven't seen it, it very clearly shows and conveys this sense of, well, we can be partners. We hate each other to death, and I will kill you once we get through this alive. But Molag Bal and his Daedric minions are way more scary than you are, and we're gonna have to work together. So I mean, even in the cinematic, it shows the Nordic guy, the big Nordic badass. He like pulls the elvish lady from some rocks, and they obviously are helping each other out throughout the cinematic. And it was crazy because I hadn't seen this information when I watched the cinematic. I watched the cinematic first, and then I saw this stuff, and I one of the first things I said coming out of it was that this is a load of false advertisement, because this is not something you can do in the game at all. Like, I mean, I get it, cinematics never show anything you can do proper in a game. They never convey the gameplay in any real sense, but that was deliberate bullcrap as far as I was concerned. And then, sure enough, they show, hey, you can play any race on any alliance when you pre-order, which is kind of the other big thing. But I mean, I personally think it's okay if you're able to play any race on any alliance as a compromise. I don't know, I feel kind of weird about this, because they've said that you won't be able to get this kind of item or this feature once the game comes out. Like, it's not something that somebody 3 months down the line can get a hold of somehow. It's not something that you can earn by questing or doing this crazy achievement or anything like that. It's just something that will not be accessible. And I'm seeing both arguments, and I totally feel torn between them. And one is that they're totally okay with this, because then they can still stick to the idea that the alliances are very firm, and in the grand scheme of things, the people that are playing, like we'll say a Breton on Ebonheart Pact and any other miss and match you can think of, that's going to be relatively low population. So it's still relatively realistic in that we have a couple outliers in the huge sea of people that are loyal to their faction. And I totally agree. I kind of that makes sense, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, very few people are going to betray their alliance for another one when the game gets going, and people that didn't pre-order started getting into the game. Now, on the other side, It's the idea that why are they offering something on pre-orders that cannot be earned later and have a significant impact on the gameplay and who you play with, which to me is actually a better argument than the other. They're both very compelling arguments, which is why I feel torn. But I personally think that the game would be better in the long run if this is just accepted. They allow this as a thing that you can do, and then down the line they just drop the barriers between the factions and have it so the factions are still important story-wise, but you're at least able to venture into the other areas. Maybe group with them, maybe not. I mean, even old school MMOs, WoW and EverQuest and all that stuff, you can go to the other faction zones, and even if it's risky because you're going to be in danger of the other faction kicking your ass, you can still do that. You can still venture to those areas and experience face-to-face conversation with them. Even if it's just mumbled up chat, there's still something about that experience of seeing the opposing faction in their area when you're surrounded or potentially surrounded. There's something more immersive about that instead of just having this weird, I don't know, 3-faction instance thing. I just don't agree with that at all. So I'm okay. I think this is an okay compromise. Now, onto the Imperial Edition, which is the kind of digital deluxe, and I guess this comes with the physical, like, super deluxe Imperial Edition that comes with, like, the statues and all that crap. I don't know. I've just never been a fan of that stuff. But the Imperial Edition is going to come with everything that we just talked about in the Explorers Pack. The 5 days of early access as well is going to come with a mount, an Imperial themed White Horse mount, which they will get for free in terms of in-game goals, and they're supposed to be able to get it early, I believe, as well in terms of level. So they'll have the mount accessible a little bit earlier than if you just went standard. In addition, you will have a Mudcrub vanity pet, and it's another vanity pet. You'll have the Rings of Mara, which is an EXP boost for you and a friend. Now, this one is pretty controversial because it's an EXP boost to somebody that's going to get the game early and potentially race towards endgame. And I'm seeing some people kind of pissed about this as, I don't know, tainting the idea that people are going to race towards endgame. I don't know. I'm not really compelled by that argument too much. I'm really not. One of the things that's a little bit interesting about this is because it's very unclear how this is going to work. My theory is kind of based that there is two rings in the picture for Rings of Mara in the description about how you need to perform a ritual. I'm thinking that when you pre-order the game or pre-purchase an Imperial Edition, you will get 2 Rings of Mara. You will literally get 2 of them, and they will each be labeled Ring of Mara, right? You will have one, and you can give it to one friend. So only 2 people will be affected by this with one purchase. And you will, I don't know if it's just going to automatically do, or maybe there will be a quest involved. And from that point on, you and your friend, when grouped together, will get some EXP bonuses while doing quests and what have you. Again, I'm not too worried about the EXP boost. I'm not. It's a thing that's not going to worry me at all, because what happens when you race to endgame, especially in a brand new MMO, is you get to the end and you realize there's nobody around to do anything with, and you have to wait for group content anyway. So you wind up rolling in alls and getting bored, or you just sit there and you move on to another game, which a lot of times is why you get all those people sitting at the end going, there's no end game. Well, there's nobody to do it with, so shut up. That's a lot of times that's the kind of people that do that kind of complaining. So I'm not really worried about an EXP boost. I'm really not. Now, the big controversial thing, the really big one, is the ability to play as an Imperial, which when I first looked at it, I was like, okay, whatever, you'll be able to play as an Imperial with a skin. Like, you'll be able to play an Imperial skinned model of something else. But that's not what's going to happen. You will have a different skill line entirely for that race. They are a legit different, I guess they'd be a 10th race, not 7th. They'll be a legitimate extra race that you can pick and then play on any of the alliances, just like with the Explorers Pack stuff, where you can play any race on any alliance. Now, this one is kind of going over the line. I personally don't really give 2 shits about playing an Imperial. I just don't. It's not my thing. But there are lots of people who are huge fans of the Imperials, what they do lore-wise, what they are as a race, and as a 4th faction, as what they were advertised in ESO. And then here we go, we get them as a pre-order bonus, which I personally take as a big kick in the nuts. It really is, because the Imperials are so important to so many TES fans, as this other race, even if you're not even going to play them, it's just gonna be like the imposing faction. It's too much for them to offer this as a pre-order bonus. And this is something that we see a lot in first-person shooters and every other genre, really, where they offer up these extra races or extra skills and extra crap as a pre-order bonus, and then here we go, it's tainted our ESO as well. And I personally don't feel all that hurt because I'm not going to play an Imperial, but I feel bad for the people who want to play one and maybe don't have the cash for an Imperial Edition, or are going to have to fork up $40 down the line when they put it in their shop or what have you. It kind of reeks. It smells like a cash grab, and that's what a lot of people are calling it. And I mean, I want to defend them. I want to very badly, but I can't. I can't bring myself to do it because this really is just, it's nasty. It's not very cool, man. It really, really isn't. They've gotten a lot of backlash to the point that they actually had to respond to a question in their recent Ask Us Anything, I think it's called. And they got a question: do people who order the Imperial Edition gain a big gameplay advantage over those who don't? Now, they came back with a pretty long answer. No, with the Imperial Edition, you get the opportunity to play as a rogue Imperial who is broken from their Daedric worshipping ways, and you get a unique racial skill line of equal gameplay impact to other races' unique racial skill lines. As an Imperial, you also get a mount and the automatic ability to craft items into the Imperial style. All non-Imperial races can also learn this ability after locating the corresponding racial motif. Imperials do not begin the game in a unique starting location or via a separate quest, but they can start in any alliance. They can start in any alliance as befits their status as unaligned outcasts of their own province. Being an Imperial includes a racial skill line that offers unique gameplay opportunities, but there is not an overall gameplay advantage. It is an opportunity to set yourself visually apart in the lands of Tamriel. Gameplay benefits within this edition have been designed to avoid bestowing unfair advantages over players who do not purchase this special edition. This is cool content designed for some of our biggest fans who wish to have something different from other collector's editions in the market. The only other alternative would have been to offer a collector's edition that offers no in-game items whatsoever. That simply didn't seem fair to fans who were excited about the game and want some special digital items. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Honestly, it's a load of bullshit to me. The fact that they're going to say that there was no other option other than not giving any in-game items whatsoever is a total load of poo. It just is. The Imperial race has been advertised as this fourth AI-controlled faction, as this extra group of people that maybe you guys love but you won't be able to play as, at least right now, and it's